Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Reporting live from New Jersey. Just got some interesting sort of news, probably the most movement we've got on this subject in quite some time. Friend Anthony sent me this. Um, those that have been kind of keeping an eye on it, it's not entirely all new news, but I figured it was worth mentioning at the very least. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well on this Friday evening, afternoon, wherever the hell you are. Wherever the hell you are. I just got out of the shower, that's why I look like this. Although it's not that different from the way I usually look. Why don't we get into the story? So, pretty interesting stuff going on here. Hollywood Reporter reported this about 1:40 p.m. Let me bring up the article. Very short. Cloverfield news is not. It doesn't. It's not headline news really, for most people. But someone like me who's kind of a sycophant, I thought this was exciting, especially because I've been wanting a true sequel to Cloverfield for a very long time, and it seems like there is movement on this. It kind of took a backseat to JJ's Warner deal, but there is some movement on this, which is good to see. This is kind of the direction they were teasing for a while, doing a true sequel. After sort of Paradox did not hit the way they wanted to. 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I thought that was a good installation into what they were building out as an anthology. Don't know if they're still building out an anthology. I don't even know if 3 can be considered an anthology at this point. I don't know if they're going to continue with making those, if they're now going to go back to address the first movie. But let's talk about what they say in the article. So, here we go. Cloverfield sequel in the works with Batman TV spin-off showrunner. And this is an exclusive with Hollywood Reporter. So let's get into it. This creature feature launched the shared story universe when it was released in 2008. Don't know if it was always a plan to do an anthology series. I believe 10 Cloverfield Lane came out in 2016. It was a very good year. Actually, it was a fun year for me. I saw that movie many times in theaters and would do it again. And I honestly would love to see the original Cloverfield in theaters. Again, that was such a momentous occasion in my life. It was an interesting day, and it was an experience. I know a lot of people don't like the shaky can, but I absolutely loved it. I love the format. I love the way they told that story. All right, here we go. Arms, Bad Robot, Banner, Paramount Pictures have tapped rising British scribe Joe Barton, pictured there, to pen the script for the project, which, unlike its predecessor, will not be in the found footage format, according to sources. Now, I didn't expect it to be in found footage format. I would like them to play with a format. I don't want kind of just a narrative. I think it set a precedent for handheld movie, kind of making it feel like it's happening. Like, I never really even got that with Blair Witch. Like, I didn't feel totally immersed. It's still, I don't know. Maybe this just hit at the right time in my life. But I want Cloverfield 2 to be kind of another play on a format. Maybe they do a documentary 13 years after the events of the first movie. Make it in real time. That movie was supposed to take place in real time. So do a real time sequel. What happened in the 13 years after we got the first Cloverfield movie? That's the story I want to see. I want to see what happened after those events. I don't want to keep going back to that day. So I think a documentary would be able to do that well. They could get different angles. They could tell different stories in sort of a kind of condensed format. Maybe you could check on Lily, who gets on the helicopter towards the end, where the other group gets on a different helicopter that gets knocked out of the sky. We obviously know what happens to them. Maybe, there's questionable ending with Rob and Beth. So we might find out what happened to them if they survived in Central Park. Obviously, we know the audio clip at the end says it's still alive. They might still be alive. They might have been put in a protective shell around some rubble. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But I would like to see. I would like to see the format be played around with. A narrative's cool. We got that with 10 Cloverfield Lane. We got that with Paradox. Obviously, they're kind of alternate universe anthology, probably not connected in any sort of way. Besides what you see in Paradox, where it's like the red light and split apart dimensions. Let's go back to one. Let's see what happened after the events of Cloverfield. What did the world look like after that? Now, it's going to be interesting if they do include elements from 10 Cloverfield Lane and Paradox and reference them so that they don't completely cast them aside. I know people weren't crazy about Paradox. I wasn't crazy about Paradox. But, what it told, the whole reason why everything happened is kind of what they were alluding to pretty early on, that something happens, there's a red light, and that's when everything goes wrong. So keep that nugget. We don't have to go to the Cloverfield spaceship or whatever. We could kind of dance around that stuff, but keep the red light thing, keep the collision of universes, whatever way you want to do it. I think that was something that was always part of the plan, at least something that was talked about more in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Emmett talks about the red light and then everything kind of going haywire. So get back to that, reverse engineer it from that point. I think you got a lot of good stuff there. I think there's a lot of good expanded universe stuff. There's the Tagruato stuff. There's the Slusho stuff. There's a lot going on that you could work off of. There's a lot of world that a lot of people that just saw those movies do not know about unless you did the ARG and a lot of the online stuff, which is the stuff I had a lot of fun with, which is why this property is a lot of fun to me and one of my favorite things because of just what it did, besides the movie. So if we get more of that, I'll be happy. I know a lot of other hardcore Cloverfield fans, wherever they are out there. I know there's a Reddit. We definitely exist, and there's casual people that like the first movie or liked 10 Cloverfield Lane that want to see more of stuff like this. I mean, it was unique at the time. The world that it set up, it inspired me to get into this realm of making these kinds of things, and it still does. I watch that movie at least once a year. So let's continue now that I'm done rambling. Will not be found footage. Abrams will produce along with Bad Robot head of film Hannah Minghella. Reeves is not involved in the project. Obviously, Matt Reeves, who now is directing the new Robert Pattinson Batman, directed the first Cloverfield movie, and I believe helped write it as well. He is on to bigger things, but we're getting another Batman guy, which is interesting. We're getting Joe Barton, who's involved also in that universe. So it's interesting. There's an interesting tie back to Batman happening here. So Reeves isn't involved. I wish he was. He was part of the kind of the inception of the first one. So I hope he has, maybe consult on it or something. They kind of give you a synopsis of Cloverfield here. I think a lot of us know what Cloverfield is. The movie made $25 million, had a massive opening weekend of $40 million, and went on to gross $172 million worldwide. Not sure what the budget was for this movie, but I think it was fairly low. I mean, Steadicam. I mean, handheld kind of look. I don't know. 2008 feels like a lifetime ago at this point. It was, again, 13 years ago. It came out around now, so it's interesting that they put out this news. Yeah, 1/18/08. That is when the first movie dropped. What a day. it begat Cloverfield universe. Universe is, I think, kind of a loose term. I don't know if three disconnected movies or partially unconnected movies make up a universe, but those movies were originally developed as separate movies, but were folded under a Cloverfield banner, tying them to a linked story with science fiction and monster themes. Yep. I mean, they were kind of similar elements in all three movies. Paradox, while probably the weakest of the three, did brought kind of gave reason to why these are all called Cloverfield. Obviously, not obviously, but 10 Cloverfield Lane, Paradox, they were doing this thing, and although I loved 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it was literally one of my favorite movies ever, they did this thing where they were taking scripts that were like being optioned or whatever, and kind of shoehorned like alien stuff in it or monster stuff in it. We could kind of see that. There was a movie that came out, I believe, a year or two ago called Underwater with Kristen Stewart, and the Cloverfield fan base was kind of abuzz because it could have fit the bill very well. It could have been a Cloverfield movie. They're on this undersea station, and then weird stuff happens. A monster happens. I have not seen the movie yet, but that movie, if they had called it, Cloverfield Station or something, could have easily just been a Cloverfield movie. So Cloverfield is kind of just a loose term for movies that are kind of like this, where it's like something's happening, but there's also a monster. First Cloverfield movie, basically a romance movie. Gotta go get Beth. Beth, he regrets, how his relationship with Beth ended. They really, truly loved each other in the end, and there was a monster destroying New York City at the same time. So that was a love story. Guy, maybe stupidly going to save the woman he loves in a monster attack. I found it endearing at 17 years old, and I still do. I really like it. 10 Cloverfield Lane, obviously, is more of a box movie, which is why I love it so much. It's three characters, essentially, in a room, in a bunker, and the tension is just so beautiful, and the way that story is told is just... I love it. And then... it's just an apocalypse story, basically. Maybe or maybe not. Some kind of bomb happened. I don't know. The characters kind of wonder that the whole time, and it turns out to be aliens. So it's that movie could have been anything. It could have been bombs, and it could have been a more political angle. But they kind of changed the political stuff or Russia or China, whatever they wanted to do with aliens. So it's a Cloverfield movie, and it's kind of the same thing with Paradox. They put them in space. They put them on a space station where things go wrong. And then, it's even that one is kind of not that... It could be a Cloverfield movie. Like a sci-fi horror is just Cloverfield. Like, that's why that one kind of gets into a little bit of a gray area. For me, Cloverfield has to be kind of cheap and dirty, and I mean that in the best way possible. I think Cloverfield, the first one, felt cheap and dirty. It was a handheld shaky cam. We're following this group of friends who don't know what the hell they're doing. They're going to save their friend Beth, who Rob's in love with, and we set that up. We set up the tension with the party, and it's just, and then we do that again in 10 Cloverfield Lane in a different way. We have John Goodman's character, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, kind of bickering. There's like this tension because she doesn't know if she could trust them. She trusts them at a moment, then she doesn't. Then they find something out. They don't know if they could trust them again. It kind of keeps going. And then 10 Cloverfield Lane, they kind of do that with the team. I don't know if we could trust each other, especially when the paradox happens. It's, everybody has a weird sordid history after that happens. But for some reason, Paradox did not land. It didn't seem as... I don't know. It seemed too... It was too high-level sci-fi, I think, in the Cloverfield scheme. Whereas the Paradox was established, I believe, in the first Cloverfield movie, but it's more... There's a line about it in 10 Cloverfield Lane when Emmett says, the red light's a big deal. So I could talk about Cloverfield all day. I'll continue with the story. Um, Details of the take are being kept hidden under Central Park. Uh, I don't know if that's some kind of ARG thing. Like, this is where my brain starts to go crazy. Maybe they have, because they planted stuff in various locations when 10 Cloverfield Lane came out, and there was somebody found a box full of a bunch of little trinkets and information about some of the characters. Howard, which is John Goodman's character in 10 Cloverfield Lane, he worked for Bold Futura, which is like a I don't know if it was a military company. It was like a military manufacturing company, and he used to work on satellites, which is why he has that fuel, that acid fuel in 10 Cloverfield Lane that he boils Emmett in. So there's a lot of context outside of the movies that I feel like a lot of people miss, and that's stuff I just, I'll eat up, like, no questions asked. So that needs to happen, I think, with Cloverfield 2. We need to bring back that kind of ARG element. It's so much harder. The internet was still kind of this mysterious place. 2008 doesn't seem that long ago, but it was a different world, frankly. So it's fascinating. I'm very curious to see what they would do. Honestly, they should call me. I would be happy to just sit and help write and consult or talk about it and pontificate. I'll help with the ARG. Bad Robot, give me a call if you want. But that's kind of where the news ends. And we kind of knew that they were working on it. I think after Paradox came out, Abrams said they were going to... I think he said it in passing originally, that they were going to work on a sequel to the first Cloverfield. But of course, we'll take any news we could get in the Cloverfield kind of fandom. So really, really exciting. It seems like this is more of a definitive, this is happening, we got somebody to do it. So just, stand by, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's gonna be writing it. So, to pen the script for the project. I really, really want it to be sort of a smaller story, like small story in a big story kind of thing, which is what Cloverfield, I think, really is. Now, Paradox felt like a big story with a lot of small stories, which is fine. You could play with the format in that way, but I think Cloverfield does best when you feel like you're in a kind of group, or you're in a situation, you feel that tension, and it feels like you're watching, like you're in it. And I think 10 Cloverfield Lane did that very, very well. And the original Cloverfield did that in a way where you get the thrill of, are we going to die? Where's that monster? Then you have the parasites. Are those going to jump out of anywhere? Are we going to get hit by a stray bomb or bullet or something? A lot going on. 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield, two of my favorite films of all time. I am very excited for this. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think this is going to be? Are you familiar with Barton's work? I'm not very familiar with it. I'm excited to see his upcoming Batman series, of course. I believe he's doing the Gotham PD series, if I'm correct. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you excited for a sequel to the original Cloverfield movie? Do you want to see everything connected? Do you want to do away with it? Do you want to just, kind of keep 10 Cloverfield Lane and Paradox separate? Send me your theories. Maybe I'll do a follow-up theory video once we get a little bit more news. Once we get more news, you can be sure I'm making a new video. Because, a lot of people here came through this channel originally, or found out about this channel through my Cloverfield videos, and then I kind of veered off into Twin Peaks. But this is kind of where I started. This is my origin, at least on YouTube, is with Cloverfield. So it's good to be back. It's good to get some news. I'm happy to talk about this some more. If you guys have discussions or questions you want to leave, you want to ask, I feel like I can easily, I could comfortably say I am an expert on Cloverfield. Of anything, I am in this life as an expert on Cloverfield. I have multiple copies of the movies, and this is one of my favorite franchises and properties of all time. So thank you guys for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like the video. Leave questions below. If you're watching this after the live stream, if you have questions you want answered in the future video, if you have questions about the older movies, I'm happy to answer and talk about Cloverfield forever. So give me a reason to do it. But until then, I hope everybody has a fantastic Friday, a fantastic weekend. Hopefully I'll see you soon, and take care. Stay safe out there.